Can y'all hear me? Y'all couldn't hear me the whole time. Can y'all hear me now? Okay. I forget that when I'm on the countdown screen, it's muted, even if I'm not muted. So my apologies. Okay, let me start over here. I didn't realize y'all couldn't hear me. Um, Welcome to True Crime Tuesday on Thursday. I did have to reschedule because of working late on Tuesday. So thank you so much for joining. If you are, I know that this is Killa. I think we have sound now. We're good. I was on the wrong screen. Okay, good, Christina. I forget that when I'm on the countdown screen, it mutes even if I'm not muted. So apologies. I apologize for that. Hey, y'all, just joining. I know that it's a little early for some people. Let me see something real quick. I don't know why this is causing trouble here. Let's see. It's not wanting to load here. Let's see. We will get it. We'll get it. See. I'm gonna delete all this stuff. All right, there we go. So we're doing a little bit earlier today, which I'm hoping that if you're not able to watch it live, that you'll be able to uh, tune in and watch the replay. So if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay for me in the comments. Um, if you guys watched last night, I'm not sure if you guys watched the recap, but the Malcolm and Maybay show that they normally do, uh, where people call in and get things off their chest. Last night, we recapped it, and they actually were talking about a true crime story. I'm not sure if you guys tuned in for that, but there was a stabbing at a track event in Texas, and a boy was unalived. Oh, that's a cute picture. I forgot about this. A boy was unalived, and we were talking about that. Hey, real boss. Yes, make sure you like the live, please. We were talking about this case last night, so if you missed it, definitely check it out. But apparently, look, I just saw this picture, so I had to show it to you guys. That was when my daughter was in high school. That's me and my daughter right there. So if you think she's not my mini me, no, let me tell you, honey, that girl is like my mini me. Look at us. Look, do we not look like twins? um, I saw that they said today life he can't get life or the death penalty. So basically what happened, it was in is it called Frisco, Texas? I might be saying that wrong. Let me look real quick. But what happened was we don't really know all of the details yet. I think we'll find those out as time goes. But two teenage boys, 17, both 17 years old, something happened. One 17-year-old stabbed another 17-year-old. And basically, they're saying it was because he was under the wrong tent at the event. So we were talking about it last night. This is the two
Wouldn't
boys
get all
here.
extra wet.
Hold on. The two boys here. It was in Frisco, Texas. This is on the left, Carmela Anthony and Austin Metcalf on the right. Austin Metcalf is the boy who lost his life. A witness has come forward, um, and I think more things are going to come out. But I wanted you guys to hear this because a witness, I had posted this on my page on Feminine and Fierce on Facebook. But basically, this witness is coming forward and explaining what is going on. We talked about it last night. So if you missed it, definitely check it out on the replay from last night. Yeah, Barbara. I'm just waiting on a video to download. So that's why I wanted to show this real quick. Yeah, she definitely is, Roxanne. She definitely is. You leaving, Tina Bina? What is going on with this? I don't know why it's not letting me. Hold on. I might have to delete everything. It must be my storage or something. I don't know. But anyway, while we're waiting on that, hopefully this time it'll download. While we're waiting on that, I wanted you guys to hear what this particular witness has said. Now, there has been other witnesses um, that have said different things, and it seems like depending on who you speak to or who, what witnesses they have spoken to, different stories are coming out. What I think, you just watched it, yeah. What I think is odd that you have all of these, yeah, what's odd to me is that you have all of these high school teenagers and all of, it's 2025. Everybody has a cell phone, right? And I find it odd that there's no video of this, there's no surveillance video, there's nothing that exists. I think that we will see something come out, and I think that somebody has a video, for sure. But I think more and more will come out about this. So I just wanted you guys to hear it. It's a minute video. It's not long. Like I said, I'm waiting on these videos to download. But let's hear what this particular witness had to say about the event, about what happened.
It was raining. It got rained out like crazy bad. Everybody trying to get back to their cars or get in, places where they, wouldn't get all extra wet at. Dude was sitting up under the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah. So I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity. So I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So dude walks up. McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent and walked over there. They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone just trying to get dry. You feel me? One thing went from another. They grabbed this man and they tried to punch on dude. Dude went in his bag and whatever. They went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, that dude that got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is at least 5 to 10 miles away. It was community track meet, bruh. It wasn't a school track meet. So he had the right to have a knife on his person, bro.
So that is what that particular witness said. Let me see why this. That's what that particular witness said. Again, Charlene, I have not seen the video. We were asking last night. You say there is a video. We were talking last night and we were trying to figure out why, there hasn't been anything that's come out about a video. So that's interesting because like a few of us said last night, we just couldn't understand why, with all the teenagers, somebody has to have a video, right? So that's interesting that you say there's a video. You saw a video saying the same thing this guy is speaking about, that the guy's speaking about. See, I haven't seen the video. Oh, yeah, Charlene, lots more are going to come out. I think the boy that stabbed him, he got beat up. Yeah, I think there's definitely more. That's why people were saying, like, that they had, some people were speculating that they had no contact before because they did not go to the same school. This was an event that there were multiple schools there. It was, I don't know if it was like a district thing or whatever the case may be, but it was several high schools competing at this track meet. So yes, it was pouring down rain. Yeah, but they were under tents, Christine. So that was the thing that I was thinking. But what happened is, so I guess each high school or I don't know if they had multiple tents, but basically the high schools had tents. Like, school A had a tent here, school B had a tent here, and that's why they were saying he was under the wrong tent. They were trying to get dry. They were trying to get dry because it was pouring the rain. So basically, they're saying that this boy on the left, Anthony, that he was under the wrong tent. Now, the boy on the right, Metcalf, that was unalived, he has a twin brother. So him and his twin were both there at the time. And this boy, whenever he was arrested, he made the statement not once, but twice. Yes, send me the information, Victor. Not once, but twice he made the statement, this is self-defense, right? This is self-defense. So, many are claiming that it was self-defense, but a lot of people are saying, they didn't go to the same high school, they didn't have any interactions, anything like that. I find that hard to believe that this just all transpired in the moments over a tent. And again, we are going to 10-minute late notification. Yeah, that's why I try to do the scheduled thing so you can hit notify me, and sometimes it'll work better than the notifications. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. But there's going to be a lot more that have come out. That's what his father said. They didn't know each other, but I guess that wasn't the truth. Yeah, and I think so much more is going to come out. And they'll get their devices and all of that. If they had, even on Snapchat, if they took videos, a lot of teenagers have this misconception that if it's Snapchat, hi, news about news. Shout out to you for that super chat present. Hey, Connie and Outlaws. Hey, hey. And that's what a lot of people feel, Zona. It was like a bully situation. But I think that until we see everything, we're just not going to know. But I think a lot is going to come out. A lot of teenagers have this misconception that because it's on Snapchat and it disappears, hey, Becky, that it disappears instantly, nobody will, but they will be able to find that. They can subpoena Snapchat. They can subpoena, whatever social media platforms that they were on and get all of that information. So again, I would be, I'm curious to see what all does come out about this case. But I want to go into this next case and show you guys. I finally got this video to download, but I want to show you guys this next case. And get your opinions about it. And then we will do the updates we'll do the update on Kei'Mani's case after this, since the video is still uploading. But I wanted to share with you guys, I mentioned it last night. Oh, I got to switch accounts. My bad. I mentioned this last night, this case out of, hold on one second. Let me fix it. I mentioned this case, and somebody actually had sent me this case. Pocatello is the town. And I mentioned it last night about an autistic, disabled 17-year-old boy who was involved in an officer shooting. What is that? Oh, okay. He was involved in an officer shooting. So I wanted to show you guys this case. It is also one that is going to be, it's a developing story, obviously. And I think more will come out about it. But I wanted to share this case with you guys. If I can get my thing to pop up here. Yeah, there we go. View my channel. All right. Here we go. All right. So I want to show you guys and share this case with you guys and get your opinion on this, because this is a terrible case. Trigger warning, because it is a hard case, but I feel like things like this definitely should be talked about. And I definitely want to get your opinion on what you guys feel about this. So, and then after this, then we'll go into the updates with the Kei'Mani case.
Disabled Pocatello teen in critical condition as police and neighbors give different versions of shooting. Pocatello, after a 17-year-old was shot multiple times by 4 Pocatello police officers and observers are giving conflicting versions of events. Multiple police officers shot Victor Perez Saturday evening on the 700 block of North Harrison Avenue. Family members tell g8nned.com that doctors removed 9 bullets from his body and that due to the shooting, he had to have his left leg amputated. On Monday afternoon, they said that Perez was still in a critical condition at Portneuf Medical Center. Ana Vasquez, Perez's aunt, said the boy has cerebral palsy and a mental handicap, which significantly impairs his movement and makes him primarily nonverbal. Perez's family is Puerto Rican and speak limited English. Video of the shooting was widely circulated on social media Sunday. Neighbors see the shooting. Video of the incident was sent to g8nned.com by multiple people, showing Perez lying on the ground outside of a home in a yard. He appears to be holding a knife and is arguing with a woman, who tries to get the item from Perez's hands and repeatedly pushes him down to the ground. Police arrived at 5:25 p.m., according to a police news release, and 4 officers rushed out of their vehicles with guns drawn. The video shows officers yelling at Perez and telling him to drop his weapon. The officers were in front of a chain-link fence, not in the yard, where Perez was. Perez appears to stand up and moves toward the officers. The officers then fired multiple shots. EastIdahoNews.com spoke with Brad Andres, who filmed the video of the incident that has been circulating social media. He said he and his son Bridger were working on a car in their nearby shop when he stepped outside to take a call. I looked over across the street at the neighbors, and it looked like family members just playing in the backyard. It looked like play knife fighting because everyone was moving sort of slow, and nobody was really scared of the guy with the knife, says Brad. At first, Brad didn't think much of it but noticed that Perez seemed to be physically disabled, and he says at first, he thought he was drunk. He later learned that Perez has special needs. Suddenly, Brad says he saw a man near Perez trying to swing at the knife in his hand. The man took a swing at Perez's hand with the knife, trying to knock it out, says Brad. I'm watching this, and I'm going, wow, something's going on here. At this point, Brad says he called out to his son Bridger to watch the incident with him while he finished his phone call. During the incident, Brad says he saw a log in the hands of the man near Perez, but never saw him strike him. According to Brad, Bridger watched from the window inside the shop and also saw Perez swinging a knife around. Perez is up with the knife, and he's swinging it around, says Brad. He's not lunging and trying to stab somebody, he's more swinging it around sort of in a circle that, if you get near me, you're going to get cut. A woman was also near Perez, seemingly trying to disarm him. As Perez continued swinging the knife around, the father and son called 911. Brad says he turned around for a second, and when he looked back, Perez was on the ground, and the log was near him. It looked sketchy. There's a knife, there's things in danger, so my son made the correct call to call 911 with the goal of helping his neighbor with this situation, says Brad. Dispatch may have exaggerated something, because this wasn't a knife fight. Nobody would have been stabbed. Nobody was in immediate danger. When the police arrived at the house, Brad says the man near Perez made a hand motion to the officers, describing it as what he would interpret as, "We're over here, don't panic, this isn't a big deal." The cops had run up, and when the woman was in the lawn next to Perez, she started yelling no. No. No, and put her hands up with the body language saying, "No, you don't need to come over here," to stop the police. They ignored her, says Brad. Brad says police did not make contact with the man or woman near Perez. Instead, they rushed the fence in an aggressive way and pulled their guns out, and pointed them at Perez, on the ground, says Brad. He saw everybody pointing guns at him, so he stood up and pointed the knife toward the officers. After the officers saw this, they all unloaded. According to Brad, the officers continued to shoot even after Perez had already been shot and was on the ground. You can see that the kid, after he was shot, wounded and down on the ground in pain, suffering from the shots, they continued to shoot at him, says Andres. If you look at the video I took, you can see the dirt being kicked up, and that was a couple of frames into Perez being down. At that point, Brad and his son stopped recording and returned to the shop. The last 48 hours have been tough for Brad and his son Bridger, they say, as they try to come to terms with the fact that this incident occurred. We don't know how to handle this.
So sad.
We've never seen a video that is so extreme,
Trigger
says
warning
Brad.
on the video, by the way.
It's the most graphic video I've ever seen of police abuse ever. I mean, there's no excuse for it. Brad says he hopes Perez recovers quickly and asks the community to help him in supporting the victim's family. If there can be anything that could help bring this community together to do something positive from this, in the name and to honor the family that suffered, that's what we should be working on, says Brad. Let's take that anger, and let's funnel it into something positive that can prevent this from happening again. Pocatello Police hold news conference. The Pocatello Police Department held a last-minute news conference at 4:30 p.m. Monday to address the officer-involved shooting.
We will not be taking questions at this time due to ongoing criminal external and internal investigations.
I don't know why they unloaded.
We understand the concern and emotion surrounding the officer-involved shooting that occurred on April the 5th
They were between a fence.
2025.
Hey, Lyric.
This press conference is
Tiffany.
meant to provide clarity, share the information we can at this stage, and address some misconceptions that have emerged. At approximately 5.
Let's not forget that he was on the ground already when this was going on. There was clearly a female near him. He wasn't, she wasn't scared. I mean, she was scared for him, I think, but not scared that he was going to hurt her. Not only that, there was a chain link fence between them. Why, in my opinion, why was a stun gun or something used before? Why is there not something besides going straight to lethal? Or why couldn't one just put one in the shoulder or the leg or something? But 9, and again, after this press conference, I do have the video on here, the unedited video. So I just want to warn you guys of that.
5:22 p.m. Saturday, April the 5th, Pocatello police officers were dispatched to 703 North Harrison in response to a reported disturbance.
So sad.
We will now play the 911 call to provide context for what our officers were responding to.
Hi, I work at a shop in 658 North Main, and there is a couple out back behind their shop brandishing a knife. Looks like they're trying to stab someone. There's a man and a woman, and then another guy in the street who seems like he's antagonizing him. One guy's got a knife. It looks like he's under the influence, and they're out in the backyard chasing each other around.
Okay. And they're in the backyard of a residence?
Yeah, backyard of the residence. I don't know the exact address. I'm at 658 North Main, and I got a little video of it, but this guy, he's pretty strong. He's running out with a knife and then falling over it, and I think he just shot himself on accident just now.
Okay. Can I keep you on the phone for just a second?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So it's just the 3 of them, and then there's just the one with the knife?
Yeah, one guy with a knife. There was a guy hitting him with a stick from the alleyway, and then the wife was just kind of calming the guy down. Looks like he just fell on the ground and sort of passed out.
Okay.
And it looks like the other guy in the alley was approaching him now, and the guy's standing there with the knife in him.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Bridger Andre.
Okay. When you say there's a backyard, which way is the yard from where you're at?
So, he's coming from Main Street. It's behind A+ Auto Repair. You go right on Main Street, from Main Street, and there's the side road here on Bridger.
Okay. It's behind the auto repair shop?
Yeah, behind the auto repair shop. Behind A1 Auto, or A+ Auto Repair.
Okay.
Let me get that straight again.
Okay. I'll just keep you on the phone. I'm officers responding, but just let me know what you're seeing, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Does it look like
We're trying to calm him down.
Okay, does it look like he's injured at all?
He's laying on the ground he looks like he's on drugs or something. He's kind of freaking out of his mind, just rolling around. But, he's pointing a knife at them and yelling something. They're not speaking English.
They're not speaking English?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got to get hard drugs for sure.
Okay.
I have my dad recording the whole thing right now as well.
Okay, cool.
You might be on the seizure or something. You see sort of shaking and flopping around on the ground. Oh, he got hit on the head with a, my dad's saying he got hit on the head with a lock. Yeah.
So the other male did in the head with a log?
That's what it sounds. That's what my dad's saying here.
Okay, can you see if he's on the ground now?
Yeah, he's kind of standing up in the door. He's sitting down on the ground. Yeah, he's kind of stabbing everybody, looks like.
Okay.
It's a big giant fight. That's a huge giant.
Okay. knife or is it like a machete type knife?
It looks like a really big kitchen knife.
Really big kitchen, okay.
And then the neighbors seem to be crowding around, and now there's more people involved.
Okay. All right, we'll take g8nned as well just in case, but.
Yeah. No, this thing doesn't seem to really affect the guy.
Yeah, he was a log. He's probably going to have a little bit of headache. So they're behind the 702, right, in that, like, brown house?
It's a White House.
White House.
A red truck and a red Jeep in the backyard.
You said a red truck and a black Jeep, is that what you said?
Red truck, red Jeep.
Red Jeep.
Right?
The blue car parked on the next to it.
You can hear this. In the video, you can hear him say this. Okay. And then he hears the cop.
Okay, there it is.
Okay, I'll let
He
you
said
go
they're
then,
here.
okay? Just stay up there at the business, all right? Okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, thank you.
Of course, it's like they're using this 911 call to justify what they did, what the police did. But they, as cops, have a right, in my opinion, to investigate once they get there. I mean, clearly he said, I think he's on drugs, or I think he's drunk, or I think he's this. They're not speaking English. All of these things. When clearly the boy had cerebral palsy, he was disabled, he had autism, he had all of these issues. And I understand that he did have a weapon, but there was a chain link fence between them.
Multiple officers responded due to the nature of the call. When officers arrived at 5:25 p.m., they saw a male on the ground holding a large knife. Here's a photo of the knife that was in his possession. Two females were just a few feet away in the yard, and another male stood just outside the fence. Officers positioned just outside the yard gave repeated commands for the male to drop the knife. He did not comply. Instead, he stood up and advanced toward the officers while still armed. At that point, officers discharged their firearms, stopping when the male fell. PPD officers immediately began life-saving measures, and the male was transported to the Portland Medical Center, where he remains hospitalized. In situations like this, officers must make decisions in seconds. They assess threats, not just to themselves, but to those nearby. In this case, two individuals were within a few feet of an armed, non-compliant individual. The risk was immediate and the situation rapidly evolving. We know this incident has deeply affected the community. We are also aware of the video circulating online, which shows only one angle. The full picture requires careful review of all facts and evidence. PPD is not releasing the male's name, but can confirm he is 17 years old. The incident is being investigated independently by the Eastern Idaho Critical Incident Task Force, made up of outside independent agencies, and a parallel internal investigation.
It's the person who called 911. It's the son and his dad in the shop. You can see the fence. And that's the boy right there on the ground here. Hold on. This is him on the ground. The grandfather even thought he may have been hit over the head with a log. But this is him laying on the ground right here. And that's the, banishing the weapon. Shaking it. Yeah, he's only 17. No, Julie. I sent out a text. I know, Tiffany. See, that's the female. Now look, she's trying to hold him and everything. Does anybody speak this language? Is it Spanish?
Yeah, he might be having a seizure or something. He just keeps sort of shaking.
Oh, yeah, it's on yet.
Flopping around.
He got hit on the head.
Oh,
I've been trying to leave a Facebook.
Oh, wait, my dad's saying he got hit on the head with a log.
I'm not 100%.
You're not even recording.
So they're behind the 702, right? And that's like the house?
It's a white house, and there's a red truck and a red Jeep in the backyard.
You can hear that on the 911 call.
You said a red truck and a black Jeep, is that what you said?
Red truck, red Jeep.
Red Jeep.
And there's a blue car parked on the street next to it.
Female's trying to talk to me. Here comes the police.
Cool, I can hear the sirens.
They're fast. Bad. I mean, clearly he didn't hurt anybody there at the scene before they got there. It's not like.
Yeah, they seem to be
Yeah,
arguing.
trigger
now.
warning. This was hard to
They've been
watch.
arguing the whole time. It looks like it's domestic stuff.
Definitely domestic for sure.
You know, I think that's like granddad and grandson. And
Yeah, I see the officer here. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you look like you're fighting already.
Oh, yep, they're here.
Look what they did.
Yep, I'm watching my back. Yep, oh, there. Okay, bye.
9 shots.
Shit.
You hear the caller say, "Holy shit!"
get in the fucking truck. No! No! No!
Oh, I mean, it's so sad. It's just so sad. I just can't imagine. Yeah. Oh, she's telling him to drop it. See, I couldn't understand what she was saying. He is 7. Well, no, Barbara. He is a 17-year-old. Oh, you're saying the guy who called and said he's drunk, so they didn't know their neighbors? Apparently not. It was his shop. It was they didn't live there. They were at him. Oh, she's telling him to drop it. Gun drawn as they got out of the car. Yes, they got out of the car. Guns drawn. They stepped. All 4 of them stepped to the fence. You could see they did like a military style, 1 step back, 2 step backs, and when they hit that 2 step back, they unloaded. They did pew him 9 times. They did get 9 bullets out of him, and his left leg, I believe, was amputated due to that. Yeah, the guy hanging on the fence. I think he may have been family, the guy that was standing there before the police arrived, like outside the fence. They could have tased him. That's what I said, behind the fence. There's so many things. I don't even know if the video was over, to be honest. I think it was. But I just, there's a fence there, and the way they took those 2 steps back, and like I said, I understand that they're saying, we were called to basically a knife fight. But they didn't even they couldn't take 2 seconds to just kind of watch what the scene was and just kind of look and see, hey, this is what's going on, before they they legit jumped out of their vehicles, weapons drawn, and boom. They didn't negotiate. They didn't try to talk. I'm sure, in Texas, even here, they have bilingual policemen who could have spoke to the family. They knew that the family did not speak English before they got there. But so the dad and son that called, they do not live there. They have a mechanic shop, and it was a Saturday. I believe this was a Saturday morning, maybe. I don't know. I had to look. I believe that's what it was. And they were outside, they were working in the shop, and they stepped outside out back to do something. And that's where they saw it. So they didn't actually it was a kitchen knife. I can even imagine how So 9 times. At least give a 3 count. Yeah, well, that's why they did that 1 step, 2 step. It's just heartbreaking. I'm not gonna, but I want to, but like you could see when they got out of the vehicle, they were already, weapons drawn. Like right here, when they're getting out, they already have, everything's already drawn up when they pull in. You can see, look right here, boom, he pulls it as he's running to them. And then they give no, I mean, I'm sure they were given commands to drop it, or whatever. But as far as like speaking to the family or anything like that, you can see right here, they already had them. And then see, they line up like military. They line up step one, step two, and then boom. And see, he's already on the ground at this point because they said that they continued to pew pew until he was on the ground. But and that was their reasoning for why they did it so much or whatever. But here's my thing. He's on the ground and has been on the ground before you even got there. So what do you mean you continued to pew pew until he was on the ground? He started on the ground. What? Like that's the part that got me is like he started there. I don't understand how you can say, well, we continued to, pew pew until he was down on the ground. He had been on the ground the whole entire 911 call. This was Idaho. What is it? Pocatello, Idaho. East Idaho is what it was. East Idaho News. Even with the knife, he wasn't a threat. And there's a fence. Here's the thing. He did not have a pew pew, right? So you have a whole chain link fence in between you. I know, Tiffany. You have a whole chain link fence between you two, between you and the four, and you have 4 officers. Not only that, but you have a female. That's why I say at least get some negotiation or talk to the person on the phone that called in. They're going to blame the 911 caller, period. They're going to say because what he said, they were, arrived thinking it was a knife fight or whatever the case may be. And I understand that they're, pumped up and on the way there, they're thinking they've got this guy who's drunk, intoxicated with a weapon and this and that. But when you get on the scene and you're a trained cop, I just don't understand how your mind doesn't say, okay, he's got a knife. He doesn't have a pew pew. He can't, it's, with a pew pew, having a fence means nothing, right? But when you have a weapon like that and you have a fence and the man's already on the ground, you have a female who's been standing, you see her standing next to him. She's not injured. I don't know. And I understand they had to make, they have to make those decisions in split seconds. And I get that. But in this case, and they didn't know he was 17. They didn't know he was disabled. They didn't know all this stuff. But should they have found out? Should they have taken some time to say, okay, guys, like, let's just take a minute here. This man's already on the ground. I see he has a weapon, but he's not injured anybody. He's not, he's not even standing. I don't know. Communication is key. Yeah. Yeah, they were ready to shoot before they got there. Yeah. Need some funny malarkey tonight? We will, definitely. That's why, we always, end the night with the malarkey because some of this stuff is heavy. Not with no knife. What do you mean, Charlene? No, with no knife. I don't know. I just feel like the fence between them, I just feel like gave them a lot of advantage. Not only that is he's on the ground. Here's my thing. And not even, okay, here's the thing. Even if you agree that because he had a knife, he should have been pew-pewed, right? Why couldn't they have just, he was already on the ground. So why couldn't they have just put, if they were going to pew-pew, right? Why not just put one in the shoulder or one in the leg or the foot or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I feel like there should be, you try non-lethal if it's a taser, if it's they have those rubber guns where it shoots like rubber bullets or whatever. They have different levels of like non-lethal weapons that will subdue or should subdue a subject, right? So I feel like, isn't there a way that we can do less lethal or try those methods first before we just go to pew-pewing? I want body cam footage too, and body cam footage will be released, I'm sure, because if you listened to what the guy said at the press conference, he said you're only getting one angle of the incident. So they're basically trying to say that when officers got there, that he lunged at them or made a motion towards them with the weapon. And that's when they decided to pew pew. But again, that's why that's why I want to see the body cam. But again, even if he made that motion to them, he wasn't close enough. One, two, you have a fence between you. I don't know. And 9 times right? Maybe one in the leg, like, right, Roxanne. Why not a taser? Because those tasers can shoot a pretty good distance. Right, Dawn. And he has survived so far, but again, he is in critical condition. They removed 9 bullets from him and amputated his lower leg, because of the pew-pews. Now, I don't know why. I guess maybe there was a couple in the leg. I don't know if there was multiple in one leg or what the reason for them to have to remove it. I don't know what happened. I'm sure we'll find out, what exactly went down, what happened with that. But right, ducked in the fence level knife. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like, and again, they make those decisions in a split second. I just feel like maybe I just feel like there should have been, and it's easy for me to say, sitting behind a computer, it's easy for me to say, well, you should have done it like this, and you should have done this. So I get that part. I see that aspect of it. And I understand that it's easy to say what you should or would or could have done when you're not in that situation. So I don't want to take away from that, but come on now. Yeah, they're still in the wrong. The video I watched was up front and center. See, I haven't seen, this is the only angle that I've seen so far is from the neighbor who called 911. I haven't seen another angle. Has anybody else seen it? Right, 4 cops pull that. Yeah, they're definitely going to pull the body cam because they want to show that he lunged towards them with the weapon because that's what they're claiming. How did they even feel threatened? Well, that's why I say, Evelyn, they were listening to that 911 call. They were getting whatever dispatch, and I'm curious to see or hear what dispatch was telling them, because that is going to be a huge aspect. Because again, I do understand that the man on the phone, the boy on the phone, was saying, if you break down what he said, which is probably what dispatch relayed, a drunk, intoxicated man with a knife, that kind of thing. So I'm sure dispatch was like, hey, I've got, this intoxicated man. He's in the backyard with family members, this, that, you know what I'm saying? So they were already going there thinking they have this incident where this man is brandishing a weapon and, just crazy. And the man's on the ground the entire time that he's on 911. The whole time he's on the phone, he's on the ground. And the woman even pushes him and tries to push him down further, because I think he was on all fours or something. And she was, I don't know exactly. Somebody said she was telling him to put it down and things like that. But at one point in the video, she's pushing him down and trying to get him to stop right here when she's talking to him. Oh, right here. Police. I did hear police.
Yeah, he might be having a seizure or something. He just keeps sort of shaking and flopping around.
He got hit on the.
Also, that was a key thing too. They said he could have also had a seizure, and the father says he got hit on the head with a log, and then he says, "Well, I'm not 100%," which, come to find out, I do not think he was hit by the log, but they did relay that information. They said, I don't know if he's drunk, if he's on drugs, or he could have been hit by the log. So again, that was another key factor. Did dispatch relay that info? Because listen to what they said.
Yeah, he might be.
Listen to what the dad says.
Yeah, he might be having a seizure or something. He just keeps sort of shaking and flopping around.
He got hit on the head.
He got hit on the head with a. Oh, wait, my dad's saying he got hit on the head with a log.
I'm not 100%.
So he says, like, I'm not 100%. Um, what did Madam say? It's 4 cops against 1 teen with a knife. Yeah, and I will say they didn't know he was a teen, but again, they didn't take time to ask either. They didn't ask anything from what I get, obviously he has a knife, there's a weapon. I know people are gonna say, "Well, how do they have time to ask questions? He's got a knife." But again, they have a fence between them. They have, space between them to where they could have said with their weapons drawn, like, somebody who spoke Spanish could have been like, "Hey, what's going on? Let us know," while they kept the threat at bay, kind of thing. Um, I'm just playing devil's advocate, both sides of it, because I know how people will respond. But yeah, 4 cops, even 4 cops against 1 man with with a knife. I mean, the kid's going to be a lot of trauma counseling if he survives. I don't think he's out of he's obviously not. I mean, he made it the first 24 hours, allegedly. He's still alive at this time, and I pray that he continues to get better. But I think he's got a long road recovery. He's already has so many obstacles that were in his way before this happened, and now this added on to it. It breaks my heart. I don't care if he was 45 years old. Yeah, it's still 1 person with a knife versus 4 cops with multiple weapons. Correct. And again, madams, a space between them, a fence between them, a way for them. Like, it's uncalled for, in my opinion. It's complete over. I don't want to say that word, but you know what I'm saying. It's complete overdone. It's too much. 9, come on. Again, why, if they were going to choose that route and they were going to get out and they were going to do the pew pew thing and they felt like they were in danger and everyone else was in danger and they were going to take that route, why couldn't it not have been 1 person? I'm sure if anybody's in law enforcement that knows, maybe they have policies or maybe they have things that they protocol. Well, if that's the case, change the fucking protocol, because there's no reason that all 4, if that was the route they were going to take, was the lethal route, why did it have to be all 4 of them taking that lethal route? Why could you not have just 1 in the arm, 1 in the something till, if you felt that was what needed to be done at that point. I don't feel like there's any scenario where you can say that this man, which we know now is a child, a 17-year-old boy, but there's no instance, I don't think, where you can argue and say that even if he did have that knife with you behind a fence and him on the ground already, let's not forget that part, that it was necessary for all 4 of you to just unload. I just don't think you could argue that. Whether you support the police, don't support the police, whatever the case may be, I just don't think you could argue that point. But yes, I think this is definitely a developing story that will, we're going to see the body. I'm hoping, I would assume out of 4 cops that there's body cam footage. And I think that we'll get to see that. And because again, when they did the press conference, he wanted to make sure that we knew that we're seeing the video from 1 angle. Okay, well, let us see it from all 4 of those cops' angle. Let's see it from 5 angles. Let's see it from the 4 cops' angles. Also, maybe there's the cop that pulled in. Do they have a camera on their car? Let's see that angle too. Let's see it all. Yes, we are, Marisol. 17-year-old boy, that police. Yep. We were just talked about it. My boyfriend's state trooper. They're trained to stop the action. However, he does say a stun gun probably could have been used first with 4 cops there. 1 could have stunned him first. Yeah, something. Like, what does it take? Like, I don't know. English is my second language. Spanish is my first. Yeah, Charlene, and they have cops that are trained. They knew on the phone that they did not speak English. And they have, even if they don't speak Spanish, even if there was all, just like in the hospital systems, they have a way where they can get a translator, just like we can, I'm sure they have a way. Trust me. Even if it's called dispatch and somebody, translates. Just like in the hospital, if I have a patient that does not speak I don't speak the language they do. I can pick the phone up at any point and get a translator. And I'm sure they have those same resources. So, and again, I know people are going to say, you don't have that much time when there's, when somebody has a weapon and stuff like that. But again, he was not a, in my opinion, he was not an imminent threat. Sorry. Immediate, imminent, whatever you want to say. He was not an imminent threat. He was on the ground. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things that he was already down. So I just feel like, yeah, you don't have that time when there's a weapon involved, but he's on the ground. There's a fence involved. There's 4 other officers. There's family there that's been, that is obviously around him. They're not injured. There's a lot that I think they could have picked up on just a little bit of time. Not all cops are bad. Yeah, no, I'm not saying all cops are bad. I'm saying that this particular situation was just, in my opinion, overkill. It's just too much. I mean, I just feel like there could have been so many things done. And again, they not only the cops, like, I want you to hear what we were responding to in the 911 call. Okay, I understand that. But he also said, I don't know if he's drunk. I don't know if he's on drugs, or I don't know if he's having a seizure. I don't know if he's been hit over the head, things like that. So I just feel like, yeah, Diana, if he pulled out that's right, Lyric. That's what I'm saying. If he had a pew pew, that's one thing, because a fence can't do anything with a pew pew, because the fence is not going to stop bullets, right? But when you've got that extra layer of the fence being there and he's already down, Jen, what are you talking about, girl? Are you in here just trying to be distracting? Well, obviously, if that's how you feel, then you haven't been around for a while. You must be new. Right? Makes a lot of people think, yeah. And I'm not saying all cops are bad, just by saying that. All right, so let's get into that. It's definitely a sad story, and I will keep you updated. Again, this is definitely a story that again is another developing story. So I will definitely keep you updated. I thought that I was going to be able to give you guys an update on hey Renee. I thought I was going to be able to give you guys an update on the nurse from out of Virginia, but she hasn't went to court yet. For some reason, I was thinking that her court date was early April, but I guess it's not. So, or I guess it hasn't been. So, but I do have some. Oh, you don't have to announce. You don't have to announce it to everybody, but bye. Some people. All right. So yeah, I will continue to update you guys with that story and what happens. I am anxious to see the body cam footage, and because obviously they want us to know there's multiple angles. So I want to see the body cam footage and see what happens. Prayers for that family, prayers for him. Because he is in the hospital, and obviously he now has to deal with the new normal. Oh yes, that's what we're getting ready to get into. That's what we're getting ready to get into. So as you guys know, but yeah, so I'll keep you guys updated on that, and as it develops, I'll let you know. But as you guys know, we've been covering the Kei'Mani Latique story, and her private viewing was today. Some family members were upset that they had a list that, of people that could get in, even though it was for family and private. They had a list, and some people were not on the list. She does have I believe, a public viewing. Is it tomorrow? And there has been, they had to actually go to court for the funeral, and who was able, who would be responsible for, or, in charge of, I should say, the funeral and things like that. They actually had to go to court for that. So there has been some updates in that. So I wanted to share with you guys some of those updates, because again, this story, of course, as we know, it's definitely going to you know, there'll be a lot of updates with this case. And finally, the suspect in the case, which is her father. If you guys don't know this story, Kei'Mani Latique, she went missing, and come to find out, her father was actually responsible for her being unalived, and she was found in an abandoned home in Toledo, Ohio. Right. But her dad was pew-pewed while he was being arrested, and he is finally been booked in the jail and not in the hospital. However, they said that they are keeping him in a medical ward part, because he was obviously injured during his arrest. So let's take a listen to these updates with the Kei'Mani Latique case.
Well, 11 plus right now, we are diving into new information in the murder of 13-year-old Kei'Mani Latique.
It's a heart-wrenching story. A young girl whose tragic disappearance and death has deeply affected our community. We're breaking down the timeline of events, the ongoing investigation, and the community's response to this devastating loss.
So here's what we know today. A judge has ruled Kei'Mani's grandmother, Dorothy Latique, will take custody of the teen's body and estate. Her mother argued she heard she would not be invited and wanted permissions to go with another funeral service.
The grandmother also said there would be a public funeral for Kei'Mani on Friday, April 11th. No specific details have been announced, though.
And there are signs of the pending demolition of the home where police found Kei'Mani's body. City crews put up fencing around the burned out building in East Toledo. We're told it'll come down in the next 3 months. Now, Kei'Mani's story has touched so many people in our community, and there continues to be calls for justice and accountability.
While her dad is charged with killing her, there are still unanswered questions from the community. Let's take a look back at the investigation so far. Kei'Mani's grandmother, Dorothy Latique, reported her missing in the early morning hours of Tuesday, March 18th. By just after 4 o'clock that day, Toledo police put out an alert on social media.
By Saturday, March 22nd, 4 days later, Kei'Mani's family intensified their efforts. Volunteers joined in a public search.
Oh, yeah,
and her
so
mother,
much.
Tiara Caston, expressed concerns over her daughter's disappearance. It would be 2 days later, on Monday, March 24th, that police would find Kei'Mani's body inside a burned-down house in East Toledo. The man identified as her father, Darnell Jones, would be charged with murder that night.
The next day, Tuesday, March 25th, Columbus police spotted Jones in Shorten North. Body camera video shows Jones appear to reach for a gun. Officers shot him multiple times. Columbus police say he's still in the hospital and has yet to appear in court. Then Thursday, March 27th, Lucas County commissioners voted to form a task force to look into Lucas County Children's Services. The goal, according to Commissioner Pete Gherkin, to restore trust between the community and Children's Services in response to Kei'Mani's death.
Now, we learned just today there will be a public funeral for Kei'Mani on Friday, April 11th. Her grandmother, Dorothy Latique, said in court that her family is working with Dale Riggs Funeral Home. Dorothy argued in court today that the original plan was to have a private and public funeral last week.
However, she says the holdup came when Kei'Mani's mother, Tiara Caston, wanted to have the right to Kei'Mani's funeral planning and estate. Tiara claims Dorothy was trying to block her from attending the funeral. Ultimately, the judge granted Dorothy the right to proceed.
And how long was your granddaughter living with you on a daily basis? For 5 years?
For the past 5.5 years, yes.
How frequently did your daughter visit?
We haven't seen her collectively since her 11th birthday, which was 2022. And my other daughter went to Cleveland to pick her up. Other than that, she claimed she had no transportation to even come to the birthday party.
So I'm sorry, you might have said this already. There would be a private funeral?
There will be a private ceremony, and then there will be a public ceremony for all of those that donated. It's our way of saying thank you. We appreciate, your gestures.
When the private one be?
I hate that they had
The private ceremony will be for family only.
And that would be when?
That will be Thursday.
And then the public ceremony Friday?
Correct.
And the funeral home can do that?
Yes. they're just waiting on me to get back in contact with them and let them know whether we should go forth or, you know, if it rules in her favor, what she's going to do.
I have not resided in Toledo in 12 years. I left because of the strain between me and my mother. As I said before, I was under the impression by other family members that have been in contact with her that I was not to be invited to my daughter's funeral procession.
So the woman that was just speaking, that is Kei'Mani's grandmother, who had just got custody in the last little bit of Kei'Mani's life. Prior to that, Kei'Mani had been in the system. She'd been with her godmother. And this lady that's talking now is the actual biological mother who did not have custody of her. And the dad who was suspected of unaliving her actually took her by her biological mother's house, which she never went to her bio mom's house. He took her there for like 2 hours a couple days before her body was found. But they are literally, everybody failed her. If you didn't know, there were several CPS reports by the school staff, by the teacher, by the little girl, like her little friends, her friends' parents. Everybody contacted CPS. I mean, everybody failed her. But then after she passes away, everybody wants the rights to her funeral, and everybody, because of, in my opinion, the money. Her mother has set up a couple, allegedly it's her mother, that has set up a couple of GoFundMes. I think one for $100,000 and one for $50,000 or something. Like, it seems like they all now want her, which again, they all wanted her then for, in my opinion, money when she was alive. And now they even want her funeral rights because, in my opinion, money.
I have been threatened, not by my mother, but by my sister, who has been steadfast, sticking to my mother. And not take it, I don't mind their relationship at all, but I have been threatened by my sister during this whole thing.
As in a lot of situations where family people aren't getting along really well, we hear different comments about things that aren't relevant to what we're doing here. But my focus today is on the statute and the items that the court's to consider. And the ones that stand out the most are close personal relationship and the reasonableness and practicality of any plans a person has for disposition. And convenience of family members and other friends wishing to pay their respects to the declarant. And based upon those three factors, it's clear to the court that the application for right of disposition filed by Autistic Teen shall be granted. So the court will issue a entry within the next hour or so, and so we'll get that to the funeral home, and we will proceed to get this child laid to rest. And I'm not saying anybody's right here or wrong, but I'm saying based upon the factors that I need to consider, those factors weigh in favor of you having the right of disposition. Basically, a lot of it's a close personal relationship. You raised this child.
No further details have been released about the public funeral, just that there will be a private service for family on Thursday. That is not open for anyone else to attend. Then the public event will be Friday. We'll share details on that as soon as we get them here on WTOL 11 Plus and WTOL.com, along with our social media channels.
Lucas County Children's Services says it is bound by state law what it can and cannot say. Director Randy Muth explained at a news conference today that he cannot release personal details or anything that could interfere with the criminal investigation. He did note that his agency serves 8,500 children and received 13,000 allegations of child abuse and neglect just last year. Now, Lucas County Children's Services is working with the state to make sure this case is handled properly.
As director of Lucas County Children's Services, I'd ask that you remember our staff as they go out into the community every day to provide services, safety, and supports to the complex dynamics of family need when social crisis occurs. I've seen how deeply this tragedy has affected them, and I thank them for their continuing compassion, work, and the heroism that they do every day. We're aware that the community is looking for answers. It's absolutely appropriate to do so, and the community is entitled to them. We want them too. To that end, we are conducting an internal review to see if anything could have been done or should have been done to prevent this tragedy. Immediately after I learned of Kei'Mani's murder, I asked the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, that's the state agency that has supervisory authority over all local county-level child protection agencies, to conduct a formal on-site review of the services we provided this family and our policies, procedures.
Hold on, guys, and I apologize for interrupting this, but Marie, that had nothing to do with racism. And if I ever see it, I call it out and I would block them. How is it racist? She was talking about the cops. The young boy is not, he's not black. She was talking about the cops. Lyric, she's talking about two T's when she said, she was saying something about it being, she was basically saying it was inappropriate for what the cops did. And she made a comment that, yeah, but I want to address it, Julie, whether she's a troll, whatever she is, I want to address it because I don't take racism lightly. And the comment that two T's made was, bringing, they brought a gun to a knife fight or whatever. She was like, have you ever heard that phrase? Basically saying it was inappropriate. And Marie is saying that it was a racist comment. I don't understand how that is even a racist comment to begin with. And I don't know if she was behind on the video and maybe she's thinking she was talking about the story at the track meet when she said that. But that's not. She was talking about the young man, the 17-year-old that was involved in a police pew. He was pew-pewed by the police because he had a knife. Will never face this type of force from cops doesn't mean it's insensitive to those. But how is that a racist comment? I can understand if you say that's insensitive, that I can, that's your opinion, but the race thing, it's not, it doesn't apply to that comment. Yeah, OMW, always. And I definitely will. Appreciate you guys. I just wanted to address that.
Practices and protocols as they were applied to this case.
Right, the 17-year-old.
We'll be able to share the results of both of those reviews as soon as they're completed.
As the investigation into Kei'Mani Latigue's murder continues, Lucas County Children's Services is addressing questions about its previous involvement with the teen and her family. The agency confirms it received 2 separate reports of alleged physical abuse by Kei'Mani's grandmother more than a year before she was killed. Executive Director Randy Muth outlined the steps taken during those investigations and emphasizes no one, including family or community sources, ever mentioned the man now charged with Kei'Mani's murder.
So we received 2 separate allegations of excessive physical discipline by Kei'Mani's grandmother. The first was in December of 2023, 16 months before her murder, and the second was March of 2024, 12 months before her murder. Now you'll see on our website that we received 2 referrals in March of 2024. It's important to understand that those 2 referrals were made within hours of each other and they related to the same event. So there were not 3 separate investigations, there were just 2. One in December 2023, one in March 2024. Prior to those 2 referrals in December 23 and March of 2024, the last involvement we had with Kei'Mani occurred in 2011 when she was an infant. Further, at no point in our involvement with Kei'Mani was there any mention of Darnell Jones by anyone in the family, by anyone involved with the family, or by anyone associated with the schools. Again, as I said, both investigations alleged that grandmother had used excessive physical discipline. Those investigations were initiated on the very same day that we received the calls. Both investigations involved reviewing the family record, including identified family members, speaking directly with the persons who made the reports, a physical inspection of the home and the living conditions, speaking with the child alone.
This is
Speaking
so
with
sad.
collateral sources, these are people who know the family but don't
Me
live
either,
in the
Christine.
home. Doing background checks, application of state-mandated family assessment and safety assessment tools, and then sending letters to the mandated reporters when our investigation was complete. In both investigations,
what they did
both
for
Kei'Mani
her.
and her grandmother stated that the household consisted of just them. Neither mentioned Darnell Jones, neither identified him as a father of the child, and neither said that he was a support for the child or the father. And again, none of the referral sources nor the collateral sources we spoke with ever mentioned a father nor mentioned Darnell Jones. No record exists of the paternity of Kei'Mani, not with Darnell Jones nor with any other person. There was, back in 2011, an alleged father who was excluded by genetic testing. Subsequent to that, though, there has been no efforts that we can discover to identify a father of Kei'Mani. At the conclusion of both those comprehensive investigations, a team decision was made where it was determined that it would be inappropriate to ask the juvenile court to remove Kei'Mani from her current caregiver. That team decision was made by the supervisor, the caseworker, and in consultation with those documents and tools that I indicated. I think it's important to understand that almost no decision here at Lucas County Children's Services is made by one person alone. Instead of seeking or asking the juvenile court to remove Kei'Mani from the care of her grandmother, we provided short-term services and referred the family to other community supports. Again, our last referral of child abuse or neglect with respect to Kei'Mani was received on March 21st, 2024, more than 1 year prior to her murder.
The executive director of Lucas County Children's Services says he's aware of reports that other people called in involving Kei'Mani, but his agency doesn't have any record of that. So he's asking anyone who believes they may have called Lucas County Children's Services regarding Kei'Mani within the past year to call the Family Center hotline. That number is 419-213-3833. That number is also on your screen. This is a different number than the agency's child abuse prevention hotline.
As the community continues to mourn the loss of the little girl, questions have surfaced about her safety leading up to her death and whether there were any red flags that potentially were missed. During a recent news conference, Lucas County Children's Services responded to concerns about Kei'Mani's.
If you guys don't remember, the grandmother, even in one of her first interviews after they found this poor little girl's body in that abandoned home, all she could talk about was, oh, well, you can chastise your child. You can, I was taught, how to chastise her in the correct way. And, I'm allowed to do this and allowed to do that. And it's like, what? And then the aunt, all she could talk about was money and child support and GoFundMe's and all. I'm like, are we in the Twilight Zone? So now they're saying that they've, what they've done and investigated about that.
His grandmother, including prior reports, disciplinary practices, and whether the young girl ever expressed fear or discomfort about her home life. Officials also addressed how they assess a children's safety when concerns of abuse come up.
Question for you about Grandma. Did Grandma have kids in her care, and did she have any kids removed from her care by Children's Services?
Yeah, unfortunately, that exceeds the statutory authority I have. I can only talk about this particular case.
Okay, because I've heard concerns from people that were children taken, and they couldn't figure out why Kei'Mani was still there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm only allowed to talk about Kei'Mani's case.
Okay. In the discussions that investigators had with her, did she deny that there was any abuse in this 23 and 24 interaction? Can you describe to us what she was saying to your investigators?
Well, you use the term abuse, which is actually a legal term. Grandmother did indicate and did admit that she had used physical discipline.
And was Kei'Mani okay with it?
I think Kei'Mani stated she understood the reason for it, but I don't know that she was so okay with it.
But did she ever, was she okay with what had happened to the point where she was okay staying in the home?
Yes, Kei'Mani indicated on both occasions and to school officials that she felt safe in the home.
And how do you parse that out when
Shout out to Charlene. Good night, Connie and Outlaws. Bedtime, 1:45 a.m. comes early. Woo! Catch up on the replays. Connie the GOAT. Shout out to you, Charlene. And have a great day at work tomorrow. And thank you so much for your support. Okay, so he just said that they asked her these questions and that she felt safe at home. Clearly, even if she was alone, she was probably scared to say anything. If she told her friends then told their parents. She talked to school staff, her teachers. I mean, come on. Why would she say that when her grandmother was probably not far from her at the time?
She felt safe in the home.
And how do you parse that out when the adults in the room and there may be other external pressures? How do you parse out that that kid is really telling you what he or she really feels and just isn't worried about that person standing in the corner of the other room?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why we speak with the child alone, and I understand that that might be different than speaking elsewhere. We also, that's why we look at other collateral sources, look at other statements that the child has made. We ask her what her supports are, and then we follow up with those.
And the grandmother has said before that, you know, she was corrected in how to properly handle situations like this, and she said that she was told, you know, one swat on the butt. Is that something that a caseworker or anyone would ever tell a guardian that that's appropriate?
Lucas County Children's Services does not endorse, and we don't recommend the use of any corporal punishment. However, Ohio law does state that that is a decision that is reserved to the parents, and that if parents decide in using their exclusive judgment to use corporal punishment, we do provide guidance on how to do that. And we would say to use, if you have to do that, use an open hand on a non-sensitive area. Don't leave marks, don't use an object.
Was there any sort of background check done into the grandmother?
Yes.
Was there anything that raised any flags based off of her criminal history?
There were not.
Now that he said there were not. Now other people have looked into. She's on a timeout right now, D. Other people have looked into the grandmother's background, and they are saying that she did have charges. I believe assault charges and some other things. So now he doesn't say that she had a clean record. He just says that nothing that they saw raised any alarms. And you can tell that press conference, you know, they talk about, you know, we asked if she was safe. We did this, we did that. We, you know, these are the only reports that we received. And, you know, they went through the, you know, what they did, and they checked the home, and they did this and that. And then they're even urging people, hey, if you did put in reports, please let us know. That's just, and then he's talking about, you know, how they, you know, what discipline she could do. And clearly that didn't work.
Attended multiple schools over the past few years.
Yes,
she was
6.
most recently at Toledo Public Spring Elementary. Children's Services said it did not receive any reports of alleged abuse from TPS, but did from her previous school, Bennett Venture Academy. That's one of the 2 cases it investigated. So we asked, does changing schools often raise any red flags?
So Kei'Mani had been to 6 different schools in the short period of time. I believe in like a very short period of time, she'd been to 6 schools. And they were saying the Bennett school, or however you say it, that is the teacher that I spoke with, the teacher that did make the report. It was in the school prior to the one she went to when she disappeared. But that's the teacher that has came forward and talked to media and things like that. So they did get her report. They're saying that's the one they did, you know, that was one of them that they did get. But yeah, so and her, you know, I don't know. It's just so sad that she was failed. And then, like I said, it just infuriates me that they didn't fight for her except for to get, in my opinion, monetary gain while she was alive. But then when she passes away, you want to fight for everything.
Investigated. So we asked, does changing schools often raise any red flags?
You mentioned that her school needs were being met. I mean, she had been at multiple schools, transferred multiple times. Did that raise any flags to you guys or alert you of any potential issues?
No, that point's been brought up, and that's a great point, and I understand that. No, we respect the family's ability to determine what's best. In fact, we encourage families to come together without the assistance or interference of the state of Ohio or Lucas County to do what is in the best interest of their families. We're not going to second guess whether a child has moved 2 times, 3 times, or 6 times. As long as the child educational needs are being met, then we trust the families to make those decisions.
And can you also
Kei'Mani was a 7th grader when she went missing. As a teacher, that would be a red flag to you? Yeah. Yep.
kind of discuss in just general terms what it takes or at what point a child is removed from a home?
Yeah. Well, anytime that we believe that the child is in imminent risk of physical harm, or, well, let me back up. So if we believe that, we have 2 courses open to us. We can make a determination as to whether we believe the family can and will work with us and ensure the safety of the children. If the answer to that question is yes, then we'll try to work with the family before going to court. If the answer to that question is no, that despite the reasonable efforts that we have made, this family or this child remains at risk, then we have to go to court. It's important to understand, Lucas County Children's Service, no children's services agency in Ohio can remove children. We're the only ones who can. Police officers can, courts can. What we have to do in that circumstance is take those facts to a neutral, impartial magistrate or judge, and that neutral or impartial magistrate or judge makes those determinations.
A number of people in the community are asking tough questions about who was and wasn't involved in Kei'Mani's life and care. That includes those questions that center around the role of the man identified as her father, Darnell Jones. Again, he is charged with Kei'Mani's murder. And Lucas County Children's Services addressed whether the agency had any knowledge of a paternal figure and how that could have impacted their investigation.
That was another thing. So they have continued to say that during all of these CPS investigations, during everything they have on file, that a father was never mentioned. And I don't know if that was like a child support thing, because it looks like the mother had to pay child support to the people that were taking care of her at points, but they never mentioned a father or never mentioned anything about him. Yet he was able to come to, and again, they're under CPS. They have open CPS cases and things like that. He clearly had access to the child. He was picking the child up, but yet these agencies knew nothing about him. Clearly, probably because he was in lots of trouble.
Or placement decisions had he been identified.
If Dad was part, if it ever had surfaced in a conversation, or if he had come up, would that have made your work any different? Would the caseworker have handled it any differently if Dad was listed or mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's a father that's identified, we have to talk with all the principals in the case. So identified can be 2 ways. One, established as the father in the case, and we have a record of that. Or the child can identify somebody that they view either as a father, an alleged father, or an actual father. So if either one of those things had happened, if our database had indicated we had an identified established father, we would have been required to reach out to that individual. If the child had identified, hey, this gentleman is Dad, or he is a support, or I view him as Dad, we would have reached out.
That's crazy.
Those did not occur in December or March of last year.
And would that have changed what you would have done when it comes to a placement with her if Dad had surfaced?
No, I suppose it depends on what we would have learned. From whoever was identified as Dad. But no, we determined that the placement there was appropriate. All the basic needs of the child were being met. She was getting all of her sustenance, her housing conditions were fine, her school and medical conditions were being met. So the presence of a father would not have caused us, I think, to recommend to the juvenile court that they change custody or placement.
Definitely not.
Leadership from Lucas County Children's Services is pledging change and compassion. Suzette Cowell is the head of the agency's board, and she offered heartfelt condolences today.
She also took the time to outline the new task force approved by the Lucas County Commissioners and how it will examine what more could be done to protect vulnerable children and prevent future tragedies.
On behalf of my colleagues on the board, I want to once extend our condolences to everyone who knew and loved Kei'Mani Latique. Losing her at the age of 13 is a community tragedy and leaves a hole that will never be filled. Our board, staff, and caseworkers feel any child's death to their core. We stand with you, heartbroken. We are so grateful to the Toledo Police Department for finding the alleged perpetrator so quickly. And we are grateful to the Lucas County prosecutors for the hard work that they are doing to investigate this matter. Their work to bring this person responsible for this heinous crime to justice is of a paramount importance and will assist them, and we will assist them in any way we can. Kei'Mani's death reminds us of how vulnerable children are. We pledge to redouble our efforts to protect them. Every step will rely on close relationships in the community. The task force created by Lucas County Commissioners is a good example of that. I know the community is closely following this. I think it's important that people understand that that my involvement, along with Robin Reese and Brenda Osborne, are subject matters experts whose job is to get this task force started. A wide selection of community members will eventually form the working task force.
The committee that you're working on in this task force, how much of the public is going to be involved? The three of you are kind of at the front of it right now. How much are you going to be hearing from the public? How much are you going to be including them in the task force?
Honestly, we've been hearing from the public, just with our three names being mentioned. We have been hearing from the public, but
do you want the public involved in it?
I'm sure, definitely.
What is the tone? What are people saying to you? What are you getting from the public?
That they're comfortable that we're looking into this, that there's going to be a task force established.
I don't know why the video, like I can hear the audio, but I don't know what happened, why the video's like that.
Do you want to get out of it when we look back in 9-10 months? What are you hoping that the public will get out of it, you will get out of it, he will get out of it?
Is that Children's Services loves the children of this community, and we take very good care of the children in this community. All of us working together.
Do you hope that there will be, if there are any deficiencies, that they can be addressed?
Exactly.
There's no official timeline that has been announced for that task force at this time, but we're told we should expect an announcement coming out within the next week.
We want to thank you for joining us as we continue to follow Kei'Mani's life and death. Her story is one that has left a lasting mark on the Glass City. A young life gone too soon with so many questions still unanswered.
WTOL 11 Plus will continue to follow every development in this case as investigators work towards justice.
Children's Services believes that it vetted each instance of Kei'Mani's care when it was called in to them. But tonight, there's a push to make sure that all of those calls went to the right place. The shocking death of Kei'Mani Latique has lots of people asking for answers to lots of questions. And Tuesday, we got some answers. Lucas County Children's Services met her twice in person, once in December of 2023 and March of 2024, on reports of excessive physical discipline from Kei'Mani's grandmother.
At the conclusion of both those comprehensive investigations, a team decision was made where it was determined that it would be inappropriate to ask the juvenile court to remove Kei'Mani from her current caregiver.
Children's Services says it has no record of anyone reporting abuse after that March visit and before her murder. They did not find any information showing Kei'Mani was in a danger.
So they're basically saying that from March 2024 until this happened in 2025, that there had been no calls or anything regarding her, which I find very hard to believe. But, so they met her twice allegedly in person.
Dangerous situation.
We determined that the placement there was appropriate. All the basic needs of the child were being met. She was getting all of her her sustenance, her housing conditions were fine, her school and medical conditions were being met.
We now know her story had a tragic end, and her father, Darnell Jones, is accused in her murder. Children's Services says his name did not come up in any of the interactions with the child or the grandmother.
Neither mentioned Darnell Jones, neither identified him as a father of the child, and neither said that he was a support for the child or the father. And again, none of the referral sources nor the collateral sources we spoke with ever mentioned a father nor mentioned Darnell Jones.
Kei'Mani's death reminds us of how vulnerable children are.
This board will be taking citizen feedback on the department. Details of that are coming soon. In the meantime, an internal investigation into Kei'Mani's case will happen here in Lucas County and by the Ohio Council of Children and Youth.
Because a man named Darnell Ogletree, someone with a violent record, someone the system already knew was dangerous, was still walking free. And now she's gone. And I need you to see exactly.
Now, the one teacher that's been very vocal, they're not calling her a liar. They're saying that she is one of them, that they did get one report from her. But none of the other staff members, all of them, they're not saying, saying that they didn't get none of those.
How badly this was mishandled. Let's go back to 2021.
Look at this. This is crazy.
In October 2021, Darnell Ogletree, who also went by Darnell Jones, was hit with multiple felony gun charges in Vermillion, Ohio. He was charged with having weapons while under disability, which means he was already banned from owning firearms. He had a defaced firearm, serial number scratched off, and was improperly handling a gun in a motor vehicle. That alone should have been enough to keep him locked up. But what did the system do? They gave him a $15,000 personal bond. He didn't even have to pay to get out, just signed some paperwork and walked free. Then, just a month later, in November 2021, Lorain County filed another set of felony charges. Same pattern. Weapons while under disability, concealed carry, defaced firearm again, improper handling of a weapon. So now this man has two separate open cases in different counties, both involving illegal firearms. And the court still didn't take him seriously. They let him stay out while they scheduled pre-trials and jury dates. Fast forward to June 2022, he doesn't show up, completely skips his pre-trial hearing. And the court's response? They issue a warrant and say they'll notify him by mail. Mail. Like he's going to check his mailbox and turn himself in. After that, he ends up in and out of jail on other charges. They keep rescheduling hearings, pushing things back, and nobody's keeping him locked down. Nobody's treating this like the serious situation it is. It wasn't until December 21st, 2022, over a year after his indictment, that he finally pled guilty. But even then, the system didn't hold him the way they should have. He served his time, and eventually, they let him back out. And now here we are, March 2025. And this same man, the one with a long record, the one who already skipped court, the one they knew was armed and dangerous, he's the one who took Kei'Mani's life. A 14-year-old girl, killed just days before her birthday. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't unpredictable. The system had every warning. They had the chance to stop him. Not once, but multiple times. And they didn't. How many red flags did they need? He had illegal guns. He had charges in 2 counties. He skipped court. He had warrants, and still, they let him go. Now a little girl is gone. Kei'Mani should be here. She should have been celebrating her birthday, laughing, living, dreaming. But instead, her name is attached to a tragedy that never should have happened. This isn't just about Darnell Ogletree. It's about a justice system that failed to protect her. Say her name, Kei'Mani. We don't forget. We don't stay silent, and we won't let this slide.
I'ma jump. Fuck it.
Okay, so this was he had posted, hold on. He had posted on Facebook in 2020 where he had a clean drug screen. Like, I mean, he was just posting. There was just so many things that I feel like they could have protected her even from him because he should have been in jail. These are, I can't see it. Dang, I wish it was. This was the warrant that they issued for him.
Just into our newsroom, the Toledo man accused of
Okay.
killing his own.
So he should have never been out anyway. He should have been in jail. He had multiple gun charges. I don't know what all of the charges were, but he should not have been out. Again, he had skipped court. He had done all these things, right? So he should have been locked up, period. And then, once he gets out of the hospital, he got, pew-pewed during the arrest. Now he gets out of the hospital and he is going to be booked. The judge waives the court appearance for the father held in the medical ward. So check this out.
Daughter has been released from the hospital and is now in custody. According to the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Darnell Jones is at the James A. Carnes Correction Center on High Street in Columbus. He is accused of abducting and killing his own daughter, Kei'Mani Latique. Court records show he was officially booked today and is due to appear in court in the coming months.
Also, they are demolishing in the next few weeks. They are to demolish the abandoned house where she was found. So they are, they moved the memorial. Let me see if I can get it to pause real quick. But yeah, so they moved the memorial. They had to move it. One lady that lived, I think it was across the street, she is allowing them to put a lot of the stuff on her property. You can see here they moved everything from in front of the house because now it is prepared. They're preparing it to be demolished. So they did have to move the memorial. And they went out there and, made sure everything looked good and helped, move it out there. And you can see now this is the house with all of the stuff completely gone. That's where, if you remember the pictures, everything was right here in the front. And they had to move all of that. You can see here. Oh, let me see. Dang it.
Hours.
Okay.
We are actually out here cleaning up some of the old balloons, some of the old flowers. We are out here cleaning up Kei'Mani's memorial. We are also out here. There was a post that was in one of the groups that thankful to the neighbor. Her name is Anita. Thankful to her for allowing us to be able to use her yard and to use her fence. So we are out here respectfully.
And then somebody did this art here. I don't know if I can play the song. Yeah, somebody did this art of the house when everything, because of course they had to move it. So they did the art where they could see everything in front of the house. And then they displayed it there. It is so sad. It is very sad. Oh yeah. And also here it is. He is finally booked in the jail. He's no longer in the hospital. You can see here, in custody. And there's the location of where he's located. So you're able to be searched in the system. And also what Lita was talking about. This is another thing. I mean, again, she had been failed so many times. Why anybody did not report her more? If what they're saying is true, that nobody had reported her, that they had got no reports in almost a year. They'd got no reports in almost a year, right? But yet people are coming out, and this was on social media, right? And it says she told me that her grandmother would lock her out every morning while she was at work. Like, who leaves a 9 to 10-year-old outside like that? And she goes, right. This person says, right. That's why she came to my apartment for breakfast in the morning. I'll never forget the first moment she knocked on the door. The boys and I were still asleep, and she said she had already been locked out for hours. And then this person says, every morning I got up, I saw her out there after me and you got cool, and I met her through you. This shit hurting me so bad because I felt like she had no one. I believe we were the only two on her side at the time. I'm so hurt because I didn't have the strength the last day to get up and open the door. If I would have known that was the last time I would hear her voice, man, I'm hurt, Storm, because I just knew when I finally got up, I was going to see her. It was like clockwork. She literally came to help me anytime I needed it, and would I would give her money or take her to get Taco Bell or the store. I'm hurt. I'm hurt so bad. And then if you look here, this was this was one of her relatives that was requesting to travel. I guess maybe she was on probation or whatever. And the letter says, to whom this was I think in February. Is that what it says? February? No, it's 3. I was like, what? So this says, to whom it may concern, my name is Williams. I was sentenced to 90 days home detention, February 27th. My niece Kei'Mani has gone missing and has been missing for the past 3 days. Her and I are close, and with her being in the system, something about her being in the system. Today I'm asking sincerely to grant the motion to leave my home with permission to travel to Ohio. My niece has no support system there. I am her support. I'm just asking for a 72-hour grant to travel. I'm willing to extend my home detention just so that I can have a clear mind and peace of mind for my niece. So basically one of them saying like knowing she has no support to the point where they're asking to, leave their house from home detention so that they can help search for her. Like it's just wild to me. And then I found this that says, sorry, I was trying to watch, they're having the repast, I believe, for Kei'Mani. The cousin was live. But this says, now, Lita said something that was interesting to me, especially after seeing this. You never know when you see someone, it could be the last time. What are you confused about, Casey? So, hey, drama mama. Okay, so this right here, Lita had said something earlier about trafficking of minors and the CPS and all this. I found this from 2009. It says, Toledo woman who served on the board of Lucas County Children's Services sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison for making false statements as part of an investigation into sex trafficking of minors. So I'm wondering, like, of course, there's bad in everybody, in every profession and everything. But I'm wondering if there's not something bigger to this whole Toledo, Lucas County Children's Services. They did what? What'd they do? Wait, somebody said what? No one knows what left hand is doing, not doing anything when they should have no follow-up, no shits given. Sad, beautiful young life gone before she had a chance for her life to really begin. Yeah, it's sad. I hope they put it in her name or something. That would be really sad. What did Mary say? I don't see. Mary. Oh, Connie, did you hear about the neighbor across the street? She had cameras and they picked up everything from Dorothy's house. And even, oh yeah, that was another thing. I'm glad you said that because that was another thing. So there was another interview where the mother was saying that her cousins needed to use the bathroom or something, and they were looking for Kei'Mani, and that they needed to use the bathroom, and that it was confusing because she was like they needed to pee, then she said they needed to actually go number 2, and she said that They knocked on the door. They could hear people upstairs and stuff. They could hear, it sounded like somebody shuffling stuff around, and nobody answered the door. So they left. They said they were driving around still looking for her, and they realized, like, I've got to go, which this was the confusing part. They realized they got to go. So they circled back to the house. They thought they were going to like number two on themselves. So they say they circled back to the house, and I think there's like a back alley or something, and he says that he like walked around the back because I guess her car wasn't there or something. So they walked around the back, and he says that he had to relieve himself some way, so he urinated, which I thought was crazy because he had to go number two, but whatever. And he says that he saw um, Dorothy pull up, and or his friends or somebody had saw her while he was out there pull up. She took a bag out of the car, threw it in the trash can, and hurried up and went in the house. So they then went to the trash can because they thought that's weird. Like, what did she throw away? So they said they went to the trash can and opened it, and it was a Dollar General bag with balled up clothes that had what looked to be blood on it. So they had called Kamani's mom, and they didn't want to get like their DNA on it or whatever. So they went looking in, this is her story, that they went looking in other people's trash to see if they could find like a towel or something to be able to get this evidence out of the trash can. So Kamani's mom says that by this time she pulled up on them, and that I guess the police, she called the police because she didn't want the police. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Nicholas. She didn't want the police to think that they were like involved in it. So she called the police and was like, "Hey, these are my cousins. Like, I don't want them to get in trouble. They've been helping." And she says the police told her, like, "Oh, yeah, we know they've been helping." And allegedly, they got this evidence. So who knows? I mean, there's so much. Yeah, it's so sad, Casey, and that's why I've been doing updates and different videos and things like that. But I saw this and I was thinking maybe there's like a whole, I've heard rumors for that they say, this CPS, this Lucas County has been corrupt and all of these things. So I'm just wondering if maybe this case and this task force and things like that, maybe it'll blow something wide open to where there can be some justice there. I think so too, Lita. Lita, when you said that earlier, because I already had this in the video, and when you said that earlier, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I said, "That's crazy that she said that," because I had already put that in the video. So, um, I just think maybe this will be, like I said, maybe sad that obviously any child um, loses their life, or anyone for that matter, not just a child, but maybe something positive can come out of such a tragedy. It's so sad. It says no evidence. Oh, I was trying to find out if so. She says Darnell didn't confess, but her friend says he did. Answers the questions everyone's been asking. I saw that one. Let me go to TikTok and see if because I thought I had it recorded and I guess I deleted it because I was trying to, when I deleted everything earlier when I was live trying to get that to download. I must have deleted it. But yeah, I had that video where the mom's talking about all that stuff. Because like I said, I got confused. Just the way she was talking about, well, he had to do this and he had to number two, number one. Hold on. Let me try to get, hold on one second. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I gotta turn the thing. I can't concentrate because I can hear it, but you guys can't. But let me see if I can find it. Maybe it's this one. Bonnie's mother. Maybe I could. I wish I wouldn't have deleted it. All right. I'll try to find it and I'll post it with the other videos. I bet Grandma had something to do with that. Well, he said now if you guys saw one of my latest updates, I think it was the last update I did. There were text messages that were supposedly on Facebook where Darnell says the grandmother had something to do with it. So there's so much to this. And again, this is another one that's going to be developing and that I will continue to update you guys on. But thank you guys so much for joining True Crime Tuesday on Thursday with your host, me, Feminine and Fierce. I hope you guys enjoy these stories, although it's obviously the topics are not not the best and they're tragedies. You know, being able to talk about these things and see these things happen and get your all's opinions and be able to watch these cases unfold and get justice for these people is something that's always interested me. So I'm glad that you guys are here to support me. And oh yeah, she texted herself about the ransom allegedly. And obviously she was just texting herself like in one thread. There was no back and it was awful. Nicholas. Yeah, and I put those if you want to look at all that. If you guys want to catch up on this case, you can look on. I'm going to see if I can put it in a playlist. That way, all the videos, you'll be able to just go through a playlist. But you can look through the live tab and the video tab, and you'll be able to find there's different videos about the Kei'Mani Latique case, and you guys will be able to catch up. And I will be on live later for the Malarkey. So thank you guys so much for your support, and I will see you again Tuesday for True Crime. And as you know, I'm live mostly 7 days a week, twice on Saturdays because we have a weekend update. We have the Malarkey Saturday and then twice on Tuesdays. Also, don't forget, tomorrow is the last day for your submissions for the love of Maybelline, and I have quite a few submissions. All it has to do is be a 60-second video. Just put it out there. Obviously, you know, my parody character is Maybelline. So these videos will go no further than me and us watching them just for entertainment purposes. But if you would like to submit your audition for the love of Maybelline, make sure you do that. And thank you guys. Yes, I love True Crime also. Great True Crime Thursday or great True Crime Tuesday on Thursday. Thank you so much. Yes. But I will see you later from Larky, and I love you guys. Yes, I did, Julie. I got it, girl. All right. I will see you guys tonight. Right. I will see you guys tonight. Love you. And for those that just watched the True Crime, I will see you next Tuesday for another episode of True Crime Tuesday. Good night. It does, D. I'll see y'all later if you come back.